After our divorce, he found one of my prenatal checkup reports at home. When we met again, my husband had become my ex-husband. He knelt, begging me to stay, crying, "Don't leave me, think about our child." I looked at my disheveled ex-husband standing before me and smiled. "Who said the child is yours?" I was getting married, to my boyfriend of 3 years. As the central figure of the wedding, I was beaming with sweet, vibrant joy. Yet, beneath the surface, my smile didn't reach my eyes. My husband, Marcus, stood beside me, his eyes seemingly filled only with me. But I knew deep down that Marcus wasn't who everyone thought he was. "Groom, do you take this woman to be your wife, to love and cherish her, in sickness and in health, until death do you part?" "I do," Marcus answered without hesitation, his voice firm. The officiant asked me the same question. Before I could speak, something unexpected happened at the wedding. Marcus abruptly let go of my hand without a word and rushed off the stage. I paused, slightly stunned, and instinctively reached out to grab him. He turned back and glared at me fiercely. "Grace, let go." He violently shook off my hand and ran to a woman. Hurriedly, he helped the woman who had fainted on the floor, asking anxiously, Chloe, what's wrong?" Chloe, it was her again. I knew she wouldn't just let Marcus and me get married. The scene erupted in chaos, no one understood what was happening. The groom was seen striding out the door, carrying a woman in his arms. Then, everyone turned to look at me, standing alone on stage, murmuring amongst themselves. Whenever something like this happened, people would always mock the woman. They wouldn't think the man was a jerk, they'd just think the woman couldn't hold on to him. I answered the officiant's question, I do not want to be the wife of a man like Marcus, who is always wanting it all. He disgusts me. Standing alone on stage, I felt neither shame nor embarrassment. Elf. Oof, I hadn't expected Marcus to be so direct. It suited my plans perfectly. I had once been quite excited about marrying Marcus, but now, I wished nothing more than for him and Chloe, that toxic couple, to be stuck together forever. The day I tried on my wedding dress was the first time Chloe revealed her true colors to me. I stood in front of the mirror, trying on wedding dresses and waiting for Marcus to finish his meeting and join me. "Wow, the wedding dress on you, sis, is absolutely gorgeous. Marcus, can I try it on?" A sweet voice chirped, and a girl with her hair half up was clinging to Marcus's arm. I was taken aback, momentarily frozen, staring blankly as they approached. "Marcus? What is this?" But completely ignored me, his eyes solely on the girl in front of him. Marcus's body instinctively leaned towards the girl. I couldn't even convince myself he was being forced. He lowered his head, smiling gently. "Do you like that one? The one on sis is really beautiful." She stared at me, or rather, at the dress I was wearing. Looking at her face, which was strikingly similar to mine, my intuition told me something was off. The dress I was wearing was one I had reserved weeks ago, and I had loved it for a long time. Marcus knew this. "I've already reserved this dress." I believed Marcus wouldn't make me give it to her. But before I could finish, Marcus cut me off. "Grace, let Chloe try on the dress you're wearing." I was shocked and shook my head in refusal. "Grace, stop being difficult." Marcus's voice was a warning, cold and piercing like an icicle. This was the wedding dress I had spent so long choosing. Sure enough, clothes make the man. Chloe, wearing the wedding dress, looked completely transformed, her whole demeanor changed. Marcus's eyes were fixed on her. He said, "Chloe, you look truly beautiful in this. It suits you better than anyone else in the world." I was ignored, standing to the side like a bystander. I watched them stand before the mirror, still arm in arm. A suit paired with a wedding dress, they looked perfectly matched. What a perfect pair. Watching their interaction, my heart clenched. Before, when we were dating, I had told Marcus, on our wedding day, I want to wear an extra long floor-length gown, and my veil should be long too, just like our future, long and limitless. Marcus had smiled dotingly then, nodding and agreeing to everything I said. But now, the dress I loved was being worn by someone else. "No, Mr. Marcus is too much. Isn't Ms. Grace supposed to be getting married? How did it come to this? Did you see that? That girl looks so much like Ms. Grace. Who's copying whom, we can't be sure yet. Do you think Ms. Grace was just a stand-in? Now that the one he never forgot is back, Mr. Marcus is going to abandon Ms. Grace." Two sales associates were passionately discussing this, but quickly fell silent when they saw me. See? Even the onlookers knew what was going on. I instructed the sales associate beside me to get me a glass of orange juice, then I threw it at Chloe. The orange stain on the pristine wedding dress made her look utterly disheveled. There were even unbroken bits of orange pulp clinging to her hair, which was absolutely ridiculous. Ah! Chloe shrieked, waving her hands in fright, her face no longer looking innocent and pathetic. Marcus was furious. Grace! What are you doing? He frantically shielded Chloe, fumbling to wipe her down. I laughed. I'd forgotten that a leopard can't change its spots. I hurled the glass in my hand at him and turned to walk away with an air of indifference. Put the dress on Mr. Marcus's tab. One sales associate vigorously waved her hands in the air. Wow, Ms. Grace is amazing. Catching the eye of her colleague, she silently lowered her hands and made a zipping motion over her mouth. Although I left with such bravado, the moment I stepped out of the store, tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. I tried to wipe them away, to maintain my composure, but the tears, much like Marcus, wouldn't listen to me. They kept flowing, impossible to stop. When and I were together, he had taken me to the dream countless times. Back then, he didn't have much money. I'd say, "It's okay, I have money." He'd shake his head, cover my mouth, and pout, "Grace, don't say that. In the future, I'll make a fortune and buy you everything you desire. Then, we'll buy every wedding dress in the dream, and you can try them on one by one." Now, he had become a tech entrepreneur, but I no longer had the right to try on dresses. Throughout the 3 years Marcus and I were together, I constantly heard Chloe's name, from his friends, from his drunken ramblings, and from his whispers in his sleep. His friends all described her as kind-hearted, lively, cheerful, gentle, and graceful. Even on the day Marcus announced our relationship, his friends were still thinking of her. "Marcus, don't you love Chloe anymore? What about Chloe now?" No one congratulated us on the social media post. Instead, all the comments were about Chloe. I endured it all, thinking she was just Marcus's first love. Who doesn't have a first love? But while I thought Marcus and I were in a 3-year relationship, it turned out Marcus had been playing a 3-year charade with me. I had assumed Chloe wouldn't appear before me for a while, but that very evening, she showed up at my house with Marcus. She stood next to Marcus, carrying some luggage. She huddled beside Marcus, looking at me timidly. Marcus spoke for her. "Chloe just returned from abroad and hasn't found a place yet, so she'll be staying with us for now. Our home." He knew this was our home. And? So, Marcus, you just brought her into our home like that. Marcus, did you ever, even for a moment, think about me? Grace, I know you. Chloe's words trailed off, then she continued, "Don't worry, I won't stay long. I'll move out as soon as I find a place." She bowed apologetically to me. "I'm sorry, T. Oh, 'cause you trouble." Marcus quickly helped her up. "Chloe, what are you saying? You can stay in my home for as long as you like." "I won't allow it," I retorted, my voice even betraying a hint of pleading. Marcus frowned, staring at me with anger and disappointment. "Grace, you're too selfish. Chloe will move out as soon as she finds a place. She's staying here, and that's final." He frowned, his face cold, glanced at me, and then started unpacking Chloe's belongings. "This is our home," I yelled at Marcus, clinging to a final shred of hope. A home. This was my home, a place where I could truly be myself, the place I cherished most. I couldn't accept it being defiled by anyone. His voice carried a warning. "Grace, don't forget this is my house." His house. So that's what you thought, Marcus. So all these years, I'd just been an intruder. But, without my investments, without my family's constant support, do you think you could have afforded this house so quickly? Chloe moved in, and the house was rarely peaceful. She picked up a painting from Marcus's desk, threw it on the floor, and stomped on it. Then she said innocently, "Oh, sis, I'm so sorry, I accidentally stepped on it. My apologies." Marcus merely glanced at it, then casually said, "It's fine, it's just a painting." I looked at the painting. I had drawn it during college, while accompanying Marcus to classes, a sketch of his profile. Back then, I had shyly handed the drawing to Marcus, pouting, "My drawing might not be very good. But even if you don't like it, you have to." Marcus had smiled dotingly, pinching my cheek. "It's true, it's not the prettiest drawing. But I absolutely love it." He pulled me into a hug as I tried to playfully hit him. "I'll cherish it forever." He swore. Marcus, swear I will never let this painting gather a single speck of dust. But now, the painting was covered in dust. I looked down at the painting on the floor, tears silently dripping onto the carpet without a sound. Marcus, was everything between us so worthless? Chloe turned and smirked at me defiantly, then deliberately stepped on the painting again before walking straight to Marcus. I strode forward, picked up the painting from the floor, tore it to shreds, and threw the pieces at Chloe. "Ah!" Chloe shrieked, making it sound like I had thrown sulfuric acid on her. But always had her on his mind. He rushed over, roughly shoved me to the ground, and loomed over me. Grace, what exactly do you want? He brushed the paper scraps off Chloe's clothes, then paused. Marcus, does this look familiar? It's a drawing of you. I was sprawled on the floor. He had pushed me so hard that pain shot through me, and I couldn't get up for a long time. But it doesn't matter anymore. It's just a painting. I repeated his words, which seemed to hit a nerve with him. He suddenly erupted in anger. Grace, who gave you permission to tear it? I laughed. What good was pretending to cherish it now? Watching him defend Chloe, I couldn't help but reflect. Marcus, did you ever truly love me? Love me, Grace, not a substitute for Chloe. Snapping out of my reverie, I saw Marcus in the distance. He hesitated for a moment, then continued to walk determinedly away. He probably never imagined that Chloe, who he thought loved him more than herself, would abandon him. But you were the one who abandoned me, over and over again. My once deadened heart began to ache faintly again. Marcus, if you had chosen me firmly just once, even just once, things might have been different. My parents, Robert and Eleanor, took advantage of the commotion to come forward and stand beside me. Robert patted my shoulder. I could clearly see his eyes were red-rimmed. They helped me down, and the people nearby, intimidated by Robert's status at Sterling, fell silent. Robert, I'm fine, I said. I looked at my parents, who were clearly heartbroken for me. I wasn't unloved. Why should I confine myself to Marcus? I took the microphone and began to reveal my original plan to the guests below. Photos of Marcus and Chloe kissing flashed prominently on the projector screen. I played the collected evidence on a loop, frame by frame, scene by scene, for everyone to see. Hello, can everyone hear me? Next, I will present to you the scandalous history of our tech entrepreneur, Mr. Marcus. I believe Mr. Marcus might be the first person in history to have his scandals exposed by his newlywed wife. Don't worry, everyone, I'll give Mr. Marcus the full spotlight he deserves. The plaza truly was different, even the screens were larger than usual. Everyone, don't be stingy with your phone storage, feel free to take as many pictures as you like. With that, I took Robert and Eleanor's hands and gracefully walked off the stage. Robert was furious about everything Marcus had done, and he was still seething even after we got home. I leaned back into the soft chair, watching Robert and Eleanor scold Marcus. A warmth filled my chest. This was what a home truly felt like. I scoffed at myself, wondering what kind of life I'd been living before, mistaking Marcus as the solace of my home. A true home should be where, even through countless difficulties, someone stands firmly by my side, choosing me again and again. My parents and I hadn't had much peace before Marcus came back again. It was pouring rain outside, and Marcus, drenched to the bone, was persistently knocking on my front door. Uncle, the security guard, was clearly annoyed with him. Mr. Marcus, it's so late. Why aren't you with the one he never forgot? Why bother my young lady? Marcus just kept knocking, oblivious. Grace, please open the door. He called out, eventually sinking to his knees. I stood on the balcony, watching it all. Those who try to threaten others by sacrificing their dignity are truly disgusting. They believe they've given their all, but in reality, no one cares about their worthless pride. I scoffed, too. Rened, and went inside, meeting my parents' concerned gazes. Grace, forgive me. Think about the child in your belly, we have a child. Marcus dropped a bombshell. I thought, so that's why he suddenly came looking for me, he was thinking of the child. Too bad, this time, things might not go your way. My parents were also shocked. Eleanor gripped my shoulders tightly, her eyes pleading. Grace, is this true? Are you carrying his child? I remained silent for a while, then hesitantly spoke. Eleanor, I am pregnant, but it's not what you think. Eleanor said nothing, looking utterly devastated, and stumbled back half a step in a daze. Robert just took a deep drag from his cigarette, then quickly put it out when he realized. Marcus was eventually let in. The moment he entered, he rushed to my side, grabbing my hand as if he'd found a lost treasure. Disgusted, I closed my eyes, not wanting to see him. He seemed overjoyed, thinking I was just overwhelmed. Grace, I can't believe you're pregnant. He looked at me, smiling ecstatically. Our child, we're having a baby. Robert yanked his hand away. Marcus, Grace has absolutely nothing to do with you now. Marcus paid no attention, completely immersed in his own joy. If I remembered correctly, his premarital checkup report indicated low sperm count, making conception extremely difficult. Haha, serves him right. He looked at me with tender eyes, even reaching out to touch my stomach. I slapped his hand away, staring deeply into his eyes. Just as I was about to say something, he interrupted me. Grace, I know I've been wrong. I swear I'll treat you well from now on, and our child too. He swore with a serious expression, but I found it laughable. Men's vows are rarely kept, especially from a despicable man like Marcus. I smiled, looking at him, and shattered his delusion. Marcus, who said the child is yours? Marcus froze, shaking his head instinctively. Don't lie to me, he said, his smile strained as he looked at me. No, Grace. You wouldn't. I believe you. Oh, but I would. Seeing the ugly expression on his face filled me with a sense of triumph. Yet, recalling that night, I wished I could kill him right then and there. That night, I was lying at home, looking at my tablet, when I suddenly received a call. Grace, Mr. Marcus has had too much to drink. Could you please come pick him up? I instinctively got up, then suddenly froze. Now that he had Chloe, why would he need me? I hung up. The phone kept ringing, so I reluctantly gathered my things and drove there. Pushing the door open, the sounds of raucous partying from the private room were undeniable. Colorful lights flashed erratically, flickering on and off. In the dim light, I saw Marcus sitting properly, with Chloe obediently seated beside him. She looked at me, standing at the doorway, a sneer playing on her lips. I was such a fool, falling for their manipulative games again and again. I wanted to turn and leave, but someone pulled me inside and seated me across from Marcus. They started playing a boring game of truth or dare, and I became the biggest victim, constantly falling prey to it. I had thought I had let go. But watching Marcus protect Chloe, I realized the wound in my heart wouldn't heal anytime soon. No matter what the game was, I chose to drink. Glass after glass, I closed my eyes and drank, tears mingling with the wine. Grace, stop drinking. Marcus remembered me then, frowning as he looked at me. Oh, Chloe, it's your turn. The game sound interrupted him. The moment he heard Chloe's name, he forgot about me, as if someone might be bullying his darling. Chloe, do you have someone you like right now? Chloe squirmed, glanced shyly at Marcus, and chose to drink. Marcus panicked. Chloe, your stomach isn't good, you can't drink. He snatched the glass from Chloe's hand and gallantly drank it all. Chloe looked at him adoringly. The people around us kept cheering, but quickly quieted down when they saw my expressionless face. In the early days of his career, he had endless social engagements, and he'd come home every day to throw up endlessly in the toilet. My heart ached for him, so I volunteered to attend the events in his place. How could I compete with those shrewd operators in the business world? The constant socializing led to stomach hemorrhages, and I ended up in the emergency room several times. I still remember Marcus by my bedside, his eyes dark with exhaustion, having not slept a wink all night. He was heartbroken and promised me, Grace, we won't go to those events anymore. I'll never let you drink or suffer again. A lie. I raised a hand to wipe away my tears, bidding farewell to the past, and rose to leave the room. I stumbled unsteadily toward the exit when suddenly, I was forcibly dragged into a dark corner. A large, maggot-like man reeking of alcohol pressed down on me. I couldn't break free, struggling desperately, but it was useless. His hand slowly reached inside my clothes. Through the faint light, I saw Marcus walk out, holding Chloe's hand. Help! Marcus, save me! Save me! I cried out to Marcus for help, my voice fading as I watched their figures disappear into the distance. Over there. Marcus stopped and asked suspiciously, why do I hear Grace's voice? Marcus, you must have heard wrong. Grace left a long time ago. You're right. Who knows what trick she's pulling now? Chloe leaned bonelessly against Marcus, and with Chloe's soft presence in his arms, Marcus cared for nothing else. The two walked away hand in hand. I closed my eyes helplessly. Marcus, if you had just turned your head, if you had just looked, you would have seen me. After 3 years together, even if it had been a stranger whose voice vaguely resembled mine calling for help, you should have checked, instead of just walking away. My 3 years had ultimately been wasted. I had never truly seen Marcus for who he was. Everything I endured today was because of them. I would make them both pay. Fury consumed me. The disappointment in Marcus, coupled with the man's assault, scraped at my heart inch by inch. Helplessness and terror threatened to shatter me. Eleanor, save me. Who can save me? Hopeless tears streamed down my face, washing over my wounds, the stinging pain almost drowning me. Suddenly, I was pulled out and fell into someone else's arms. He kicked the man to the ground, then pulled me into a suite. I looked at the tall man before me. His face was stern, with chiseled features. His upturned phoenix eyes seemed both alluring and distant, and there was an unnatural flush to his face. This flush gave him a different kind of charm, making him extraordinarily captivating. He seemed to be fighting something, using all his strength to push me into one of the rooms, his breathing ragged. "Stay here. No matter what you hear, don't come out." He forced out those last words, then stumbled and turned away. I could tell he wasn't himself, it looked like he had been drugged. Perhaps it was the dim light, perhaps the alcohol from the night, or perhaps still the disappointment in Marcus. Whatever it was, I lost my head. I was insane. The next day, I woke up in a messy room, wearing a simple shirt that was clearly not mine. Beside me lay the man with whom I had spent a tumultuous night. How did things take this turn? I vaguely remembered I had been the aggressor last night. I must have been out of my mind, definitely out of my mind. Who drugged me too? I looked at the red marks on my body, clear evidence of our wild night. Terrified, I wanted to scramble away. The moment I got out of bed, a throbbing ache in my lower body made my legs buckle, almost sending me curtsying to the floor. When I looked up again, I met the man's profound gaze. We stared at each other, motionless for a moment. My mind screamed. Absurd, absurd. Embarrassing, embarrassing. This is a disaster. To think I, Grace, a decent and upright G.I. RL, could be so captivated by fleeting beauty and do something as ridiculous as a one-night stand. I stood up and bowed apologetically to the man. "Thank you for saving me last night, and also..." It was hard to say, I hesitated for a long moment before speaking. "I'm sorry. Last night, the man had been such a gentleman, not taking advantage of me even when he was drugged. But I, knowing he wasn't interested, still. I was despicable." The man looked at me indifferently, and after a moment, said, "I was also at fault. Let's just consider this never happened." Marcus, standing before me, was deeply shaken. He slowly sank to his knees, staring at me in disbelief. He probably never imagined that Grace, who had always loved and obsessed over him, would one day willingly sleep with someone else. What was so impossible about it? He had no idea how many times he'd been with Chloe, yet he expected others to remain pure for him. There's no such thing as a free lunch. He stood his ground, then suddenly slapped me. "Grace, you're absolutely shameless. You're my wife. How dare you sleep with someone else?" His sudden slap stunned me. I didn't react for a moment. Robert rushed forward and punched him in the face. "You bastard, the whole world knows what you've done, and you still have the nerve to hit Grace." I motioned for Robert to hold him down, then I repeatedly slapped him, swelling his face. "Marcus, don't forget you were the one who cheated first. And don't call me your wife. We never got a marriage license. Just hearing your voice makes me sick to my stomach." Everyone in the family took a turn hitting Marcus. With a swollen, pig-like face, he was thrown out by the bodyguards. My parents looked at me with concern, and for a moment, the room was completely silent. I cleared my throat and was the first to speak. "Robert, Eleanor, the pregnancy is my fault. I was being assaulted at the time, and that man saved me." Eleanor stroked my face. "My darling Grace, I know. Tioch. Isn't your fault, don't blame yourself. My plan is to terminate the pregnancy first," I said firmly. "Then, I absolutely won't let Marcus off easy." Even without my intervention, Nexus prospects were already grim. The wedding video garnered millions of views, severely damaging the company's reputation. Shareholders sold off their stocks, and employees within Nexus resigned en masse. Every day at work, he had to face the strange looks from Nexus employees. Before the wedding, I had served as his secretary at Nexus, acting as a liaison and having far more contact with employees than Marcus did. I had even trained Marcus's entire secretarial team myself. "Mr. Marcus," a secretary said, standing before Marcus after outlining his daily schedule, "we're resigning." 3 other members of the secretarial team stood beside her, all submitting their resignations. "Mr. Marcus, when Grace was here, she took on so many of your responsibilities and poured her heart into Nexus. How could you treat her like this?" They turned and left. Marcus was furious, throwing the documents on his desk forward. "Get out. All of you." He had no idea his troubles were far from over. I was invited to a charity gala and was wandering around with a wine glass. Around a corner, I spotted Chloe pressing Marcus into a corner, hiding. What an eyesore. I rolled my eyes, having no interest in disturbing their private moment. With a glance, Chloe saw me by a potted plant and called out. She pulled Marcus, who was hastily straightening his clothes, and stood before me, feigning apology. "Sis, I'm so sorry, I wasn't feeling well at the time." Facing me, she couldn't hide her pride. I told him I was fine, but Marcus was just so worried about me that he insisted on taking me to the doctor. She covered her mouth, giggling, her eyes constantly darting to me. smug and triumphant. Leaving you alone on stage then, I'm truly sorry. I apologize on Marcus's behalf. Humph, she still considered Marcus a trait. Assure. Judging by this, Marcus probably hadn't shown her the online comments yet. Then again, Marcus cherished her so much, why would he let her know about the online gossip? I really wanted to see her face then. I watched Chloe's performance with a smile in my eyes, remaining silent. After performing for a while with no one responding, she finally realized she looked like a clown, stomped her foot angrily, and returned to Marcus's side. Marcus looked at me, his eyes filled with hatred. I saw it clearly, but it no longer mattered. Done talking? I said slowly, crossing my arms. Mr. Marcus, didn't you tell her? I looked at Marcus, shattering Chloe's dream of becoming a wealthy wife. Right, Mr. Marcus must be in a terrible mess right now. After all, Nexus stock has been plummeting, facing bankruptcy. Marcus's expression changed, his face turning ashen. Miss Chloe, your dream of marrying into wealth might be over. I shrugged helplessly and turned to leave. Chloe clung to Marcus behind me, insisting on getting an explanation. To my surprise, Marcus shook off Chloe and rushed toward me. Grace, what nonsense are you spewing? He grabbed my hand with immense force. Wearing heels, I stumbled, about to fall to the ground. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing for impact. A pair of large hands wrapped around my waist, steadying me firmly in an embrace. Looking closely, it was a familiar face, a familiar scene. Oh no, my one-night stand. The stern man held me close, his eyes fixed on Marcus. Mr. Marcus, I wasn't aware you had a violent streak, he said nonchalantly, yet with immense authority. Mr. Asher? Mr. Asher! I exclaimed in shock. Your Asher? If was previously a tech entrepreneur, then Asher was a titan of the tech, renowned for his legacy. No wonder Marcus was so agitated. He tried to fawn over Asher, claiming he hadn't meant it, then quickly launched into discussing Nexus projects, hoping to enlist his help. Chloe also kept interrupting, and the whole scene devolved into a chaotic squabble, like a coop of chickens. Asher cut off Marcus's lengthy monologue. Mr. Marcus, your capabilities don't seem worth the significant risk to Asher's company. I couldn't help but let out a snort of laughter. Wasn't that clearly stating Marcus lacked competence? I liked how a seemingly warm person could utter such cold words. I looked up at him, but our eyes met unexpectedly, and I quickly averted my gaze. Marcus's words were shocking. Mr. Asher, the woman in your arms is not a good person. He said, Mr. Asher, you haven't fallen for this woman, have you? He said this woman was promiscuous, not as innocent as she appeared. I suddenly grew nervous and yelled, Marcus, shut your mouth. When it comes to promiscuity, who can compare to you? You're scared now? You know fear now, but why weren't you ashamed when you got someone else pregnant? Marcus screamed hysterically. Sure enough, Asher squeezed my hand. A man as intelligent as him would definitely guess the child was related to him. Asher impatiently brushed off Marcus and led me away. He looked down at me, his eyes filled with silent questions. I told him everything truthfully, and clearly stated my intention to abort the child. Mr. Asher, this child was an accident. I suppose there's no need for it to exist right now, is there? Asher nodded and smiled. He said a child should be a product of love, not impulse. He looked at me, and I didn't miss the admiration in his eyes. To be honest, I wasn't entirely without affection for him. At the very least, he hadn't offered me $5 million to bear his child. Under the pressure from sterling and the fluctuations in the stock market, Nexus didn't last long. Moreover, with my subtle arrangements, hardly any company dared to hire Marcus. At first, some people sighed, but the tech was full of new talent, and Marcus, once a tech prodigy, was gradually forgotten. With my life finally peaceful, I naturally didn't want to waste energy focusing on that ill-fated couple. But the world, it turns out, is full of coincidences. My friend Sarah and I were shopping when she immediately recognized Chloe, standing as a sales associate in front of the ex.I luxury. She promptly pulled me inside. Chloe looked up and saw us, her face turning incredibly ugly. I smiled at her, a mix of schadenfreude and mockery in my expression. Grace, who gave you permission to come here? Her voice was sharp and grating. I scoffed, what's wrong, Miss Chloe? I didn't realize this store belonged to you. The store manager promptly came over, reprimanded Chloe, and then escorted us into the VIP suite. I specifically requested, manager, please have Chloe serve us. Although was reluctant, she still came in to introduce various products to us. I crossed my legs, listening leisurely, occasionally making a difficult request. Chloe quickly lost her patience. She threw down her handbag and yelled, "Grace, what exactly do you want?" "To buy handbags. You can take all these handbags? Stop tormenting me." I nodded. "Of course, they're just a few handbags." My friend Sarah chimed in, saying, "Grace isn't exactly short on cash, unlike some people who've resorted to being sales associates." She pointed at Chloe and remarked, "Oh, how could Mr. Marcus bear to let you work?" "Oh, right, Mr. Marcus went bankrupt, he can barely take care of himself now." We chuckled derisively, full of sarcasm. Having made our point, I instructed the store manager, "All sales commissions go to the sales associate who was originally in the VIP suite. Not a cent goes to Chloe." Chloe stared at my back with a glare that could kill. Before I even reached the store entrance, I ran straight into Marcus. He was no longer his usual dashing self. He wore a white shirt with cuffs that were worn yellow, and his jeans were faded from washing. He looked shabby and broke. Chloe stood next to him, complaining, while Marcus, devoid of his usual gentleness, had impatience written all over his face. The one he never forgot could only exist in his mind. Once brought into reality, that idealized image often loses its luster, becoming mundane and even irritating. Seeing us emerge, Marcus's expression shifted dramatically, first anger, then fawning. He shook off Chloe and quickly walked up to me. "Grace, I know I messed up. Please forgive me, won't you?" He reached out to grab my hand, but I pulled away. His expression wounded, he feigned pitifulness. "Grace, I beg you. I can't lose Nexus. It's the fruit of both our hard work." I took a step back, dodging him, and said with impatience, "Now you realize Nexus also represents my hard work, but where was that realization when you were getting involved with Chloe right before our wedding? When you cheated on me, when you left me alone at the wedding, why didn't you remember me then?" "Marcus, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you ask me, you both deserve everything that's happening now." Asher stood by the store, smiling and waiting for me. I pulled Sarah towards him, but she tactfully slipped away midway. He stepped forward, took my hand, and led me away, leaving and Chloe bickering behind us. Chloe was angry that Marcus still wanted to be with me. Marcus complained that Chloe had needlessly provoked me. He finally said, "If it weren't for you, Grace and I wouldn't be like this." Chloe slapped Marcus. "Marcus, you can't control your own desires, and you're blaming me?" Their argument escalated into a physical fight. Layer after layer of onlookers gradually gathered around them. I couldn't spare them another thought, my heart was solely focused on the man holding my hand beside me. After that, things naturally fell into place. Asher and I started dating. He quickly proposed to my family and we got engaged. I asked him why he was in such a hurry. He accidentally let slip, "It's already been slow enough, it took me 4 years to finally make you mine." I was puzzled and urgent. Ly pressed him for the reason. He merely pulled me into his arms, rested his chin on my shoulder, his voice muffled. "Honey, all you need to know is that I love you very much." I didn't say anything more, as a wave of warmth surged through me, spreading throughout my body. It had been a long, long time since anyone had expressed their love to me so directly. Later, while having dinner with his friends, I learned that he had noticed me back in my freshman year. Back then, I was madly pursuing Marcus, taking advanced computer science and calculus courses with him that were completely beyond me. Once, when called on by the professor to answer a question, I couldn't articulate a coherent answer. And that professor was a strict traditionalist who insisted I understand the formula. It was Asher, the TA, who was assigned to teach me. I didn't go, and I never showed up for that class again. "I thought you were a bit goofy and quite amusing back then, and I was unconsciously drawn to you. Who knew you'd never come back? The next thing I heard about you was the news that you were with Marcus." "Huh?" I playfully clenched my fist. "Asher, what kind of talk is that?" Asher laughed and dodged, and we dissolved into playful chaos. I couldn't help but wonder if things would have been different if I had gone to Asher then. Would we have avoided taking so many detours? Asher, sensing what was on my mind, comforted me, "Honey, every step you take matters. Once you've navigated the detours, the path ahead will be smooth sailing." Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments, so feel free to share your opinions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.